It was 3 a.m. in Calatrava, Negros Occidental. Lynn was just feeding little Line. She put her down and went to the bathroom. She had no idea she wasn't alone. Her husband checked on her and found she wasn't breathing. When they looked closer, there was blood on her neck, 4 small puncture wounds, like bite marks. That next day, while their daughter lay in her coffin, Jobert saw a shadow. He ran outside and screamed to his neighbors.
Mga kapitbahay! Aswang!
The neighbors heard him, and
Kailangan
they
natin
looked
siyang
for it
mahanap.
together. When Jobert reached the back of the house, it jumped onto the roof. There was a black cat, bigger than any cat he'd ever seen, and in that moment, he knew. The rumors spread fast. Neighbors whispered that something was hunting in Calatrava. And for many in the Philippines, including me, it was part of what we grew up believing. Tonight, we go back to something I grew up hearing about, a creature Filipinos have feared for over 500 years. The Aswang. Cultures all over the world have stories about creatures that emerge from the shadows. Tonight, I'm taking you to my home country, the Philippines. I grew up hearing stories about a shape-shifting creature that hunts in the night. Every Filipino child does. But what I didn't know, and what most Filipinos are never taught, is where the story may have actually begun. Some researchers believe the word aswang may come from the Sanskrit word asura, a term associated with demons and dark spirits. If that theory is true, it suggests parts of the legend may have reached the Philippines through ancient trade routes and cultural exchange long before anyone colonized these islands. By the time foreign powers arrived in the 1500s, the aswang was already here, already feared and already woven into the culture. Before colonization, Philippine society had a class of women known as babaylans. They were healers, spiritual leaders, and advisors second in power only to the chief. In many ways, they were shamans. Some historians believe that as Philippine society changed under outside influence, the babaylans lost their standing. And over time, the image of the aswang, a creature that looks human by day, hiding in plain sight, may have absorbed some of the fear and suspicion once directed toward them. No one knows for certain. I guess that's the nature of folklore. And as the legend spread across the islands, one province became more associated with it than any other. Capiz. Growing up in the Philippines, we were told that's where the aswang lived, that anyone from there could be one. Some people from there still lie about where they're from, so people won't look at them differently. So what exactly is the aswang? I grew up thinking I knew. Tik-tik, manananggal, that was the whole story. At least, that's what I thought. But it wasn't.
There are different types of aswang. They don't all look the same.
Dr. Maximo Ramos spent years studying Philippine myths and oral traditions, and what he found changed how many people understood the legend. According to Ramos, the aswang is not one creature. It's a category, an umbrella term for multiple types of beings, each with its own behavior, its own targets, its own rules. The first is the vampire aswang. By day, it appears human, usually described as a beautiful woman. At night, it hunts, using a long, hollow tongue to drain blood from its victims. In parts of the Visayas, this creature is associated with another name.
One of them is called tik-tik. You hear it first on the roof.
The tik-tik, named after the sound people claim to hear at night. Tick, tick, tick. And according to the legend, the quieter the sound becomes, the closer the creature already is. Its most feared targets are pregnant women and the unborn child inside them.
The other one is called manananggal. It splits in half and flies at night.
The second type is the viscera sucker, better known as the manananggal. By day, it looks human, but at night, its body separates in half. The upper torso grows wings and flies into the darkness, while the lower half remains hidden. It is said to use the same thin tongue to feed through rooftops and windows, again targeting pregnant women and the unborn.
Another type of aswang is the were-dog, and it transforms into a large black dog, or sometimes a pig.
The third type is the were-dog. The Philippines has no native wolves, so instead of becoming wolves, these creatures were said to transform into dogs, pigs, or large black cats. They blend into communities by day and hunt at night.
Another type is the mangkukulam. They use dolls, pricking them with needles to cause physical pain to their victims.
The fourth type is the witch. In the Philippines, we call her the mangkukulam. Some were believed to cast curses. Others spread sickness, disease, or misfortune. They used dolls, pricking them with needles to cause physical pain to their victims.
The ghoul, that one is different. It doesn't want the living, just the dead.
The fifth is the ghoul. Unlike the others, it feeds on the dead instead of the living. It would steal the body and replace it with a banana trunk. Every creature has a weakness. The aswang is no different. Across most types, salt, garlic, holy water works. Things every Filipino household already have. But the manananggal has a weakness unlike the others. While the upper half hunts, the lower half stays behind, hidden and vulnerable. Find it before sunrise, sprinkle it with salt, ash, or garlic so she cannot reunite with her lower half. And when the sun rises, she dies. I grew up believing these stories. I think most Filipino child does, but I never expected to hear a story from our family. My mom told me what happened when she was pregnant with me. She heard something in the backyard late one night. When she looked out the window, there was a black dog sitting right on top of the wall, staring directly at her, not moving, not making a sound, just watching. Our first thought was, how does a dog get up a 6-foot wall? The next morning, she asked my uncle to check. He found footprints on the ground outside near the wall leading toward the river. And then, they just stopped. No prints going back, no tracks leading away, just gone. My mother still gets goosebumps telling that story even to this day. So looking back at everything, Jobert and Lynn still believe their baby Line was killed by an aswang. Jobert even claimed his brother's child was taken the same way. Lynn believes it was a tik-tik that killed her daughter. They even called a pastor to pray over the funeral, and he saw the bite marks himself. Their stories never changed. My mom never said it was an aswang, but she still has questions to this day. How did a dog climb a 6-foot wall? And if it did, why was it sitting outside the window late at night? What happened to the footprints? None of it makes sense. The aswang remains one of the most feared creatures in Philippine folklore to this day. I grew up in the Philippines. I heard these stories my whole childhood. And sitting here now, putting all of this together, I'm not sure the word folklore is enough to explain what people have been seeing for 500 years. The aswang is not just one story from one province. It is 5 distinct creature types, documented across an entire archipelago of over 7,000 islands, by people who had no way of coordinating with each other, all describing the same thing. That's not folklore spreading. That's people reporting what they saw. The Philippines has over 175 languages, but every single one of them has a word for aswang. Every single one. Imagine what that means. Some mysteries don't have answers, and those are my favorite kind. History becomes legend, legend becomes myth, but sometimes even myths begin with something real. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is Kel, and this is Mop Hex. If you enjoyed this or learned something new, hit those buttons down there, like subscribe, comment, share. It helps more than you know. Before you go, I have something special to show you. We're launching the Mop Hex decks, a collectible card series built around every creature, conspiracy, and phenomenon we investigate on this channel. To celebrate the launch, all cards in this first run will be marked as First Edition. Every month, I'll be giving away a free Bronze Edition card. To enter, subscribe, like this video, and comment Mop Hex card below. And if you'd like guaranteed access to exclusive silver and gold editions, you'll find all the details in the description. If you want to go a step further and be part of the Mop Hex family, we're on Patreon. Links in the description. Every bit of support means everything and helps keep Mop Hex alive. Always keep an open mind, anything is possible, and always be kind to one another. I'll see you in the next one.